A wildlife corridor, habitat corridor, or green corridor is an area of habitat connecting wildlife populations separated by human activities or structures. This allows an exchange of individuals between populations, which may help prevent the negative effects of inbreeding and reduced genetic diversity that often occur within isolated populations. Corridors may also help facilitate the re-establishment of populations that have been reduced or eliminated due to random events. This may potentially moderate some of the worst effects of habitat fragmentation, wherein urbanization can split up habitat areas, causing animals to lose both their natural habitat and the ability to move between regions, to use all of the resources they need to survive. Habitat fragmentation due to human development is an ever-increasing threat to biodiversity, and habitat corridors are a possible mitigation. Although corridors have been implemented with the assumption that they will increase biodiversity, not enough research has been done to come to a solid conclusion. The case for corridors has been built more on intuition and much less on empirical evidence. Another factor that needs to be taken into account is what species the corridor is intended for. Some species have reacted more positively to corridors than others. A habitat corridor could be considered as a possible solution in an area where destruction of a natural area has greatly affected its native species. Development such as roads, buildings, and farms can interrupt plants and animals in the region being destroyed. Furthermore, natural disasters such as wildfires and floods can leave animals with no choice but to evacuate. If the habitat is not connected to a safer one, it will ultimately lead to death. A remaining portion of natural habitat is called a remnant, and such portions need to be connected, because when migration decreases, extinction increases. Corridors can be made in two distinct areas, the water or land. Water corridors are called riparian ribbons, and usually come in the form of rivers and streams. Land corridors come on a scale as large as wooded strips connecting large woodland areas. However, they can also be as simple as a line of shrubs along a sidewalk. Such areas can facilitate the movement of small animals, especially birds, from tree to tree until they find a safe habitat to nest in. Not only do minimal corridors aid in the movement of animals, they are also aesthetically pleasing, which can sometimes encourage the community to accept and support them. Species can be categorized in one of two groups: passage users and corridor dwellers. Passage users occupy corridors for brief periods of time. These animals use corridors for such events as seasonal migration, dispersal of a juvenile, or moving between parts of a large home range. Usually large herbivores, medium to large carnivores, and migratory species are passage users. One common misconception is that the corridor only needs to be wide enough for the passage users to get through. However, the corridor still must be wide enough to be safe, and also encourage the animals to use it, even though they do not live out their entire lives in it. Corridor dwellers can occupy the passage anywhere from several days to several years. Species such as plants, reptiles, amphibians, birds, insects, and small mammals can spend their entire lives in linear habitats. In this case, the corridor must include everything that a species needs to live and breed, such as soil for germination, burrowing areas, and multiple other breeding adults. Habitat corridors can also be divided according to their continuity. Continuous corridors are strips that are not broken up, while stepping stone corridors are small patches of suitable habitat. When stepping stones are arranged in a line, they form a strip of land connecting two areas, just like a continuous corridor would. Both kinds provide linkages between protected core areas and stimulate or allow species to migrate.